It's only autumn.
Morning.
But in Taumarunui, in the King Country, the mercury's already dropped to freezing. How harsh are your winters?
It's bad. It's cold.
Pixie Hepi-Te Huia is bound to a life in a wheelchair. But she says the biggest disability in her life are her crippling power bills, which average over $500 a month.
All last year I paid $263 a month. That's without the power. That'll be about close to $200 to $300 extra. It's shocking.
Pixie and her mukapuna are sacrificing basic necessities to try and get their power bill down. You can see she's taken most of the light bulbs out of her home. At night, her mokos walk around in darkness. She does this to try and offset the cost of her lines bill, which is separate to her power bill.
I get a high power bill because I've got children, that's what it is. Most of it comes from the hot water, keeping them clean all the time. You can't limit the amount of times you're going to shower them a day because they're kids.
In the King Country, whānau here pay two power bills, one for the use of electricity and the other for the lines that run the electricity to their homes. And it's this lines bill that has people like Pixie fuming.
Because most of our money goes on power. And what's left over, that's food. And there's not much left over.
TLC is the only lines provider here. It's a big region with few customers, and that can mean big bills. To calculate the lines bill for the year, TLC uses the 6 highest 2-hour periods of power usage by a consumer in any year.
Well, at the moment, our vulnerable, our elderly and our children are really suffering under this lines company oppression, because that's really what it is.
Jacques Windell is a Ruapehu councillor based in Taumarunui. He says the extra power bill from the lines company, TLC, who have a monopoly in the area, is crippling residents and the local economy. Is there any other place in New Zealand that has a situation like this?
No, not for residential, and this is the big thing. Nobody can afford this ridiculous TLC pricing that they keep on just ramping up.
But it wasn't always that way. It was 13 years ago when the lines charge became a separate bill. So what needs to happen in terms of TLC?
We've got 29 lines companies. It's the most of every country that I know of by an absolute country mile. So amalgamation of lines companies, I believe, is the way forward with regard to lines.
I run my TV set and stereo. The fridge runs.
Meanwhile, just down the road, Ray Thurtell has found his own way to deal with pricey power bills by going totally off the grid.
To me, solar is the solution to the whole problem, because the amount of money that the lines company and the power companies are actually sucking out of this town is what's killing it.
Ray bought this old bungalow 5 years ago.
When I bought this house, it was a derelict. It was, people wanted to pull it down. And it was disconnected from the lines.
When Ray inquired about reconnecting the power, he got the biggest shock.
It was going to cost me $10,000 to get the house rewired, and the lines company wanted $2,500 to connect it back to the grid. You know? And the system I put in cost me less than that.
Wow.
Yeah, come in, Jacques.
Okay.
Ray Thurtell is showing Councillor Jacques his money-saving solar setup for the first time.
I only got 10 150-watt panels at 12 volt at the moment that go through the controller, through the inverter, and it runs all the electrical appliances in the house.
The only thing it doesn't power is his hot water, which runs on gas.
As it stands now, I've got 13 hours of power.
13 hours of power. Okay, so are your batteries charged now?
Getting close to it.
Getting close to it, and it's not a very good day.
It's not a very good day. It's been terrible.
It's been raining, and it's been all over the show. So what you're saying to me is solar doesn't work on heat?
No, solar doesn't work on heat. Solar works on the UV rays that come from the sun.
Aha.
But even on a horrible day, even in the fog, you still make power.
And it was solar that saw the light bulb turn on for Councillor Jacques.
You don't need heat for solar. You just need light. So in cloudy days, on rainy days, solar panels are making power for you all the time.
So he met up with solar and power supplier Richard Homewood from Supercharged Energy. Now he's rolling into town in the hope of getting low-income customers, like Pixie, onto a starting solar package worth $3,000 for free.
Look at that.
Look at how big they are.
Look at that, hey?
This is going to save me money.
That's going to save you a lot of money.
Cool.
So you excited?
Yeah.
Hey?
Cool.
Very cool.
The deal includes 2 free solar panels that will feed power during the day when the sun is out.
The power rates here are much higher than a lot of other developed countries. We have very, very, very high power rates, and meanwhile, hardly anyone has solar here. And it's a real shame.
So why are you offering this deal?
We primarily have done commercial in the past, and Jacques said to us, there's all these people who had this awful power bill, they don't have the money to buy a system. Is there nothing you can do to help them?
And he said to me, well, sorry, there's nothing much we can do about that because they're high risk for finance. And I said, well, that's not good enough. And he looked at me as if I was crazy.
We sat down for a while and we just crunched some numbers and we thought, well, how can we make it viable to give people panels for free?
And lo and behold, in January, he phoned me up and he said, I've thought about it, I've come up with a solution. And I tell you, it is revolutionary. It's a fantastic business model, but it's a win-win for our people and for his company. Most people are going, it must be a scam, it must be this, it must be that. But it's not.
The deal is any customer who signs up will have to commit to the solar provider's power company for the next 10 years. Is that a concern for you?
I've been paying Lions Company for 20 years. No, I'm not. It's not a concern.
I'm living proof, and this house is actual proof that not only does it work like this, but you can start off very small and build your system up until you can get to a point where you can turn around and say, I want to go off grid.
Yeah.
And just turn everything off and run off your solar.
Which Ray's been doing for the last 5 years, living off the grid.
Economic-wise, it's brilliant, good for the town, good for the planet, good for everything. So if you were to go to solar, these big fat cats won't be big fat cats for very long.
While Pixie will still have to pay her lines bill, she could save up to $100 a month on her power bill.
With all the money I paid with Line Company, I could have had heaps of panels. Girl, 20 years. Could have had my whole house in solar system.